Hey everybody, it's Bill. I am the salty old Marine. I made a video a couple of weeks ago and I talked about, do I deserve VA benefits? And unfortunately, I did a rather poor job of making the video from a technical standpoint. The volume is low. I used a inferior camera and so on. I'm trying to get better, so I'm upgrading my equipment. I've got lights now. I've got a better microphone. Doing my best to just kind of make this a more professional YouTube channel so that I can present that information to you in a more palatable manner, smoother, more professional, and so on. Unfortunately, you still have to look at my face. I can't help you with that. I'm sorry. Anyway, so real briefly, I want to kind of recap what I went over in that earlier video. You know, I'm going to be 64 years old this year, and I have been out since 1985, out of the Marine Corps since 1985. So 40 years, right? 40 years have passed by. It's hard to believe. Sometimes I wake up at night and I still think I'm in boot camp. You know, I'm late for fire watch. I'll bet some of you guys have had that experience as well. It's pretty weird. Anyway, I didn't know much about VA disability when I first got out of the Marine Corps. I understand that that information is spread a little bit more accurately. It's disseminated better now, which is great. It means the veterans who are leaving service today have more knowledge about what the VA is and what the VA does. And that's a tremendous thing. Honestly, I didn't have that information when I got out in 1985. I knew there was a VA, right? Veterans Administration. I knew that you could get a home loan from the VA. I have a home loan from the VA. It's fantastic. I knew that VA had health care, but I didn't exactly know how it worked. And because I went to work at a civilian job and I was young and healthy, I didn't pay any attention. I didn't do anything. Sure, I had the disabilities that I had with me, excuse me, when I got out of the Marine Corps. You know, I had the tinnitus, I had the migraines, I had the IBS. But it just seemed like that was, you know, part of the way the world works, right? You do your time in the military, you get out, you're a little bit busted up, and you suck it up and you drive on. So really, I'm not playing poor me. I'm just saying I didn't think about the VA in terms of disability. I didn't know really what it was or could do for me, or VA healthcare for that matter. So it was only until much, much later that I really sort of got involved. I got sucked into it because I was briefly stationed at Camp Lejeune in 1979 for training. I was there for like 90 days. And during that period of time, there was water contamination at Camp Lejeune. And so I was notified later on by the VA that I was part of the cohort that was being studied for disabilities arising from the contaminated water. Fortunately, I don't have any of those disabilities. Mostly those are cancers of various kinds. And I feel horrible for the people who have been affected by that, civilians and military alike. But so far, at least, knock on wood, I haven't had any of those issues, but that got me involved with the VA. So it was only after the PACT Act was publicized that I really became aware of the fact that the VA offers disability, that the VA offers health care for veterans who are suffering the effects of their experiences from being in the service. So that brings me to the question, do I deserve VA health care? Do I deserve VA disabilities? Well, I think in the back of my mind, I always kind of thought that that was reserved for people who had been in combat, people who had fought for our country, people who had suffered physical losses, you know, an arm, a leg, an IED causing a traumatic brain injury, that kind of thing. And be clear, those people absolutely deserve the best that our nation can offer. They have paid a very high price, and there is no doubt that they are the most deserving of anyone for those benefits, for that health care. I do not question that in the slightest. The question is, do I? I served during peacetime. I was a Cold War veteran. I was certainly exposed to danger, if you want to put it that way. I was a military policeman. I did have to deal with deadly weapons. I did get stuck with a bayonet at one point. I did have to respond to helicopter crashes and car crashes and various other traumatic type things. But, you know, so did a lot of us, right? Some people were injured in car crashes on base. Some people were injured in training accidents, jumping out of planes and hurt their knees or hurt their back. Aircraft mechanics losing their hearing, artillery losing their hearing, on and on and on, right? So the question is, do any of us who were not directly engaged in combat deserve treatment by the VA? Do we deserve benefits from the VA? That's a tough question. It's a philosophical question. It's ultimately a moral question, but it's not a legal question. What I mean by that is Congress established the VA. Congress established what the VA provides in terms of benefits and in terms of health care. They didn't make any distinction between those of us who have served on active duty during peacetime and those of us who served during wartime or were directly exposed to combat. They didn't make that distinction. They didn't draw those lines. So from a legal standpoint, I am as entitled as any veteran who has served honorably to health care and benefits for injuries that I sustained while I was in service that still affect me today. It took me a long time to get over just the, I don't know, feeling of guilt about that. Yeah, I guess you could say that, a feeling of guilt. But you know what? I still suffer. I still have the nightmares. I still have the physical disabilities. They never went away. My tinnitus is still there day and night. My migraines, always there. So, yeah, I'm deserving. You're deserving. So let's work on this together. That's what this channel is about. Helping you, the veteran, to file for your disabilities and get your health care for the things that occurred while you were in service and that still bother you today. Feel free to leave some comments. Tell me how you feel about it. Maybe you don't want to file a claim for disability, and maybe you don't want to get health care. Maybe you feel like you're not deserving. That's fine. I'm not judging, not in the slightest. I was there, but I've changed my opinion. Tell me what you think. This is Bill. I am the salty old Marine. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, as I said, and we'll get this channel out there to as many veterans as possible. As always, have a great day.